So last night, Sophie Cunningham actually responded to, the Kiki area fan takedown.
The moment Sophie Cunningham clapped back, the entire WNBA shifted. Not just because of what was said, but how it was delivered. Cold, calculated, and with the kind of composure that only a seasoned warrior can pull off. While the internet was still catching its breath from the chaos on the court, Sophie casually stepped online and dropped a response that didn't need volume to make an impact. It didn't scream, it didn't whine, it declared. And just like that, a preseason scuffle turned into the opening scene of what might be the league's most personal rivalry yet.
Man, I'm looking forward to when is the first game? May the 29th or May the 28th. I am looking forward to that. But Sophie Cunningham responded right here with an Instagram story about it. And these two teams do not like each other. They do not like each other.
You see, Sophie didn't just respond. She rewrote the entire conversation. She didn't need to beg for league discipline or post an emotional essay begging for respect. Instead, she served subtle shade with the precision of someone who's played this game, not just on the hardwood, but in the mind. This wasn't just basketball anymore. This was pride, power, and an unmistakable message sent to every locker room across the W. If you're coming for the fever, you better be ready for a war.
And I know it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until right before, but this is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet
You could feel it before you saw it. The tension, the pause, the collective gasp from the crowd. In a moment that felt more like a WWE body slam than a preseason basketball game, Mystics rookie Kiki Iriafen shoved Sophie Cunningham so hard that even the refs blinked twice. This wasn't just physical, it was deliberate. No basketball play in sight, no screen, no jostling under the rim. Just a flat-out takedown in the middle of live action.
What are we doing? Right there, you can see Sophie telling her after that flagrant, you don't mother effing do that, you don't mother effing do that.
And that's when time stopped. The arena held its breath, fans frozen mid-cheer. But not Sophie. She popped up like someone had lit a fuse, stormed toward Kiki, and let fly a line so raw and unfiltered you could practically hear the broadcast team scrambling to mute the audio. "You don't mother effing do that," she barked. And in that one moment, everything shifted. This wasn't just a rookie trying to make a name. It was a disrespectful stunt that turned a meaningless preseason game into something unforgettable.
And that's Kiki Iriafen, and I got to tell you, here we go with the smiling like you've done. I don't get it. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is. A ton of reaction. The smiles afterward, let's get negative.
This wasn't your standard hard foul. This was no loose ball scramble or overzealous box out. Kiki Iriafen didn't just knock Sophie Cunningham over. She launched her to the floor with the kind of force that made everyone question what exactly was going through the rookie's mind. It was abrupt, aggressive, and absolutely uncalled for. And most importantly, it wasn't basketball. There was no strategic intent, no defensive logic, just a reckless explosion meant to send a message. But instead of making a name for herself, Kiki unknowingly lit the fuse on a firestorm she wasn't ready for.
This was another one right here. This was Brittany Sykes, and DeWanna Bonner got involved in this one. She did. Little standing on business.
Because that kind of hit, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It comes with subtext. It says, "I want the spotlight." But here's the thing about taking on a vet like Sophie. She doesn't just play the game. She understands it. And she knows the difference between rookie hustle and raw disrespect. Kiki's shove wasn't a move. It was a moment. One that screamed desperation for attention. And Sophie? She made sure that attention came at a price. Because in this league, if you're going to throw your weight around, you better be ready to stand on it.
And all I will say as well is it's going to be a fun couple of games. The Fever, when is the first time they play the Mystics? This is what you want to see. You want to see hype.
As if one act of aggression wasn't enough, the Mystics doubled down. Later in the game, veteran guard Brittany Sykes delivered her own unnecessary shove on Cunningham, dropping Sophie to the floor once again. At that point, it became clear. This wasn't just one player losing her cool. It was coordinated chaos, a pattern. The Mystics weren't playing defense anymore. They were picking a target. And Sophie Cunningham had just become enemy number one in their sights.
It's going to lead to a heated rivalry game. It's going to be leading to that on the 28th of May. We are still in the month of May. We get to watch these two teams go at it again. And I stand by this. This was absolutely not. This is not going to be the first time or the last time Sophie Cunningham is going to get into some sort of a brawl next season.
But they underestimated the Hive, because when Sophie hit the floor, her teammates didn't hesitate. Dana Bonner was the first on the scene, marching towards Sykes like a one-woman battalion. Lexi Hull followed, ready to back up their vet without blinking. This wasn't just a team, it was a movement. The Fever didn't just play together, they protected each other. That moment sent a clear message to the entire league. Mess with one of us and you deal with all of us. You could feel the energy shift. This wasn't just a preseason matchup anymore. This was war. And Indiana wasn't backing down.
Yeah, this was the response. I'm just a girl, but I only play WWE with my sister, so chill. And obviously while posting a clip of that.
When most athletes face drama like this, they either vanish from the spotlight or go full meltdown on social media. But not Sophie. Her response didn't need paragraphs, hashtags, or a tear-filled rant. Instead, she casually posted a single line that hit harder than any shove could. I'm just a girl, and I only play WWE with my sister, so chill. That wasn't just sarcasm. It was precision-guided shade. Sophie Cunningham had just turned a preseason cheap shot into a viral masterclass in staying unbothered.
Yeah, kind of random thrown to the ground. Maybe I need to hit the weight room. That was not a good look. But she had my back, and I think that's what it's all about, right? I think that we have a huge target on our backs, and I don't think that's a secret. And so making sure that our locker room's like this, and that will naturally flow onto the court, and I think you guys saw that today.
The brilliance wasn't in the words themselves. It was in the restraint. No over-explanation, no name-dropping. Just pure, ice-cold confidence. She didn't just shrug off the incident, she buried it. In a world where clout chasing and overreaction dominate headlines, Sophie's response was a flex of maturity and power. It told Kiki, and anyone else watching, you're not even worth the energy. And that subtle dismissal? That's the kind of psychological edge veterans dream of.
She earned a black belt in Taekwondo at 6 years old. You can earn a black belt at 6 years old? I mean, fair enough. But yeah, Sophie Cunningham is... I would say Sophie Cunningham's not someone you'll mess with. Everyone messes with Sophie Cunningham.
And here's where it gets even more savage. Sophie Cunningham didn't just clap back with words. She carries a black belt in Taekwondo. That's right. While most 6-year-olds were learning how to ride bikes, Sophie was mastering the art of controlled strength and disciplined strikes. So when Kiki Iriafen shoved her, she wasn't pushing over just another player. She was challenging someone trained to stay calm, absorb chaos, and strike back with laser precision.
The amount of times, like there are like 5-minute long compilations of Sophie Cunningham starting fights. Like, do we not remember what Sophie Cunningham did last year to Indiana? They literally, I'm not joking when I say this, she walked into an Indiana huddle, threw a blind elbow, and then walked out and got away with it.
This backstory makes Sophie's Instagram caption 10 times more lethal. Because we now know she could have reacted differently, far more aggressively, but she didn't. She chose to respond like a master tactician, not a hothead. That black belt isn't just a childhood anecdote, it's a lens through which we see everything Sophie does. Her control, her focus, her ability to rise above the madness, it's all rooted in something much deeper than basketball. And that scares people.
If Sophie Cunningham just ends up being the villain of the Fever, I think she's the damn villain for the entire WNBA, the old WNBA fan base with some of the stuff they said about her. I think she's probably thinking, you know what, let's get the heat off our number 22. When these other teams last year, when they were trying to punk Caitlyn, you know what, let's piss off these players enough that instead of them trying to go off Caitlyn, get her off her game, they go for me. And that's one of the things with Sophie Cunningham, with those type of players, that people don't realize just how important that they are, and just how big they can be for a team.
While the internet debated fouls and flagrant plays, Sophie got to work. No theatrics, no excuses, just buckets. She dropped 21 points on the Mystics like it was light work, sinking 6 of 11 shots, grabbing 8 boards, and tossing in 2 assists for good measure. But these weren't just stats, they were statements. Every shot she nailed was another reminder that the best response isn't always verbal. Sometimes, it's a scoreboard that does the talking.
And you can see again in the response, like, she's posting the video. If she didn't want to smoke, she would not be posting anything. She would have just ignored it. And you better believe when these two teams play on the 28th of May, it's going to be heated and it's going to be an awful, awful lot of fun.
Sophie didn't just show up, she took over. She flipped a chaotic moment into complete dominance. While the Mystics tried to drag the game into the mud, Sophie elevated it. Her performance wasn't flashy. It was fundamental and furious. It was leadership under pressure. And it proved that when things get ugly, Sophie Cunningham doesn't just rise, she thrives. That game wasn't just a comeback. It was a coronation.
The more people are trying to fight Sophie Cunningham, the better Sophie Cunningham is going to play. And you can tell with everything on social media, like, people are saying almost she was more Rodman, like instigator, than she is like enforcer. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Let's be honest. Ever since Caitlin Clark stepped into the league, all eyes have been on her. And with attention comes pressure. Teams like the Mystics have been circling, throwing elbows, whispering trash talk, trying to rattle the rookie phenom. But Sophie? She saw what was happening and stepped right into the line of fire. It's no coincidence that the target shifted from Clark to Cunningham. That was a veteran move, a conscious choice to shield the future by absorbing the chaos.
I saw Sophie Cunningham playing out of this world. Made me feel good. I saw ball movement on offense. Made me feel good. I saw no volleyball passes on. Made me feel good. I saw fight from everybody that was on the court at once. There was no 4 versus 5 when it came to fight, heart on the. We weren't lacking that today. We weren't lacking heart at all. And in case people thought this team might be lacking some heart, you got one thing coming to you. You think you're going to be pushing around Sophie Cunningham like that? Don't worry. Sophie, I got this.
That's what real leaders do. They don't just protect the scoreboard, they protect the soul of the team. Sophie's energy gave Clark breathing room. It allowed Caitlin to focus on the game, not the noise. And in doing so, Sophie shifted the narrative. She made herself the headline, not with controversy, but with composure. That's a different kind of greatness, one that won't show up in rookie highlight reels, but one that every locker room in the WNBA respects.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor.
After the final buzzer, there was no handshake line, no sportsmanship. The same Mystics players who shoved, slammed, and smirked their way through the game walked straight to the locker room without a word. And that silence? That was louder than any trash talk. It was a white flag. Because deep down they knew they'd been outclassed, not just on the court, but in character. And that stings more than any loss.
You had like Caitlin take over a huddle, Austin took over a late. So many of you guys would pull each other aside. Why do you feel like you guys are so in tune with one another already?
It's what it's about, right? I think when you really do have really, really good people and you guys all have a common goal that you're trying to get to, that no one takes offense to anything, right? I think a couple of those huddles like, hey, so if you got to get better on defense there. And I was like, yeah, dude, you're right. And so it's constantly communicating and it's not being defensive. Everyone's just trying to help. And I think you have a really good group of people. You have a great group of coaches. And again, I just think it's a great combo that if you're willing to have a growth mindset, good things are going to happen here in Indiana.
Sophie and the Fever didn't just win the game. They won the moment. They flipped the narrative. They took every push, every cheap shot, and turned it into fuel. The Mystics tried to play bully ball and ended up looking like sore losers. Meanwhile, Sophie walked off the court with her head high, her team behind her, and 12,000 fans chanting like it was playoff time. That's how you flip the script on bullies. That's how you change a team's identity in one night.
Well, first and foremost, they play so hard. They play with multiple levels of effort. They're both just tough as nails. They have length. They use their length really well. Their activity level on the defensive end and offensively. I mean, they're like mirror images of one another. I mean, the way that they can cut, the way that they can spread the floor, and what they bring on the defensive end of the floor.
This wasn't just another preseason game. This was the moment Indiana Fever transformed from underdogs to enforcers. And Sophie Cunningham? She's the engine behind that shift. She didn't need to throw a punch to knock someone out. She used precision, presence, and poise. She turned aggression into opportunity. She became the face of fearlessness in a league that's starving for it.
You want to make sure that your home court is special to you as a team, but you want to make it hard as heck for other people to come in here to Gamebridge, and they don't want to play here, right? And I think with that, as an energy player, you got to get your fans involved. That's our sixth man right there.
With May 28th circled on every fan's calendar, one thing is crystal clear. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a reckoning. And Sophie isn't just ready for it, she's already winning it. While other players chase stats and clout, Sophie's building a legacy. One Instagram post, one shove absorbed, one basket at a time. She's not just playing the game, she's redefining it.
This isn't the soft Fever team that you can push around last year. That's, oh, let's just push them around and bully them because nobody on that team has any to step up to us. Don't worry, we took the offseason seriously. While you guys were playing dilly-daddle over there in Miami, we were taking the offseason serious.
So the next time someone steps to the Fever thinking they can rattle the rookies, they better remember, Sophie Cunningham is standing right there, not just to score, but to lead, to protect, and to make sure you never forget her name.